Welcome back. It was a crime which pushed everything else off the front pages. 3 men, all known criminals, found shot dead in the Essex countryside. It was a cold-blooded, professional killing. The victims had many enemies, but which one wanted them executed?
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Point 7. The applicants submit that the Court of Appeal was wrong to state in February 2006 that cell site evidence provided compelling evidence for Nicholls' version of events, as Nicholls, quote, did not and could not have known about the cell site data when he gave his account to police. The Commission has considered this submission, but has discovered no evidence which suggests that Essex Police revealed cell site data to Mr Nicholls before he gave his account. Whilst it is clear that Mr Nicholls was asked questions about itemised billing in police interview, the Commission has seen no evidence that police revealed cell site data to him. The Crown disclosed at trial that Mr Nicholls' interviewing officers had worked from an action pack which was in the form of a call schedule drawn up from the itemised billing, but there was no suggestion that this included cell site data. The Commission notes that Mr Nicholls was cross-examined at trial about the nature of the telephone data that he was shown in police interview. In making their submission about Mr Nicholls' knowledge of cell site data, the applicants seek to rely upon David Bristow's expert report of June-October 2007 at paragraph 5.1, where Mr Bristow points out that Essex Police obtained the relevant cell site data almost 5 months before Nicholls was interviewed. The Commission acknowledges that this appears to be correct, but it does not follow from it that the data was shown to Nicholls before he gave his account. In further support of the submission regarding Mr Nicholls' knowledge of cell site data, Mr Wombs and Mr Steele's legal representative Mr Bowen relies upon the transcript of the Section 19 inquiry interview with DC Winston, which took place on the 30th of March 2004. At page 31 of the transcript of the first interview, the following exchange took place. Question: did you at any time coach Nicholls so that his evidence matched the cell site analysis that you're aware of? Answer: no, definitely not. Question: was he ever made aware of the results of the cell site evidence that you're aware of? Answer: I don't know, sir. I don't believe I've made him aware. Question: was the knowledge of the cell site analysis part of your interview then? Answer: yes, it would have been at some point, yeah. The Commission has considered these responses by DC Winston in the context of his earlier answers in the interview. See pages 24 to 26 of transcript of the first interview. Question: when you started those interviews, when Nicholls started to speak about the murders, in terms of locations and all the things that happened, can you remember what your depth of knowledge was as a previous member of the investigation team regarding the in-depth matters of those investigations? Like a good example is cell site analysis and that type of thing, or when Nicholls started to speak to you, was it effectively fresh to you? He's given you locations and the route in and the route out and everything. Was that completely new to you? Answer: yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it was completely fresh to me at that stage. Question: right, so things like the in-depth, bearing in mind you've got a homes inside team doing loads of work, and then you've got the outside teams, and bearing in mind you would have briefings fairly regularly. Things like cell site analysis is the best example I can think of. Would you have known the in-depth detail of what was going on elsewhere in the investigation? Answer: we may have had an overview, but the cell site analysis, I'm not sure that I knew all the details, which I could recall now that was done by a specific set of people. And I don't recall being specifically told results of all the analysis. I don't recall the specific details of cell site analysis on specific phones. The Commission notes that DC Winston was cross-examined at trial about the use of telephone data when interviewing Mr Nicholls. Question: When you were interviewing Mr. Nicholls, did you have in front of you and available for him to look at various documents? Answer: on some occasions, I believe. Question: so let me give you some examples. Did you have telephone toll tickets? In other words, the record of calls made between the various people in this case? Answer: yes, sir. Question: you see, were you in fact using document toll tickets to assist Mr. Nicholls in getting a cohesive story together? Answer: the only reason documents were used was to prove or disprove what Mr. Nicholls was telling us. The Commission also notes that DC Brown, the police officer who interviewed Mr. Nicholls alongside DC Winston, was questioned at trial about the telephone data which was used in the Nicholls interviews. Although he acknowledged that an interview pack was used which contained call data, DC Brown denied that any call data was, quote, fed to Mr. Nicholls before he gave his account of events. The Commission also notes the witness statement given to the Section 19 inquiry by Lee Craddock, who represented Mr. Nicholls during many of his police interviews. At page 5 of the statement, Mr. Craddock stated, "It was only some time later, i.e. after the police interviews, that I became aware that the police were to use cell site analysis to plot the movements of mobile telephones. At the time, I did not know that such analysis was possible, and I am certain from Darren Nicholls' reactions and questions to me, neither did he." Having considered the trial evidence of DC Winston and Brown, the witness statement of Lee Craddock and the Section 19 interview with DC Winston, the Commission makes the following observations. Both officers have acknowledged that, as the interview process developed, they gained some awareness of inquiries that were being undertaken in relation to telephone data. Both officers have acknowledged that telephone data formed part of the packs which were used when interviewing Mr. Nicholls. There is even a suggestion in DC Winston's answer during the Section 19 interview that DC Winston gained knowledge of the cell site analysis and that this knowledge informed some of his questioning of Mr. Nicholls. However, the Commission has seen no evidence which suggests that either of the interviewing officers revealed cell site data to Mr. Nicholls before he began to give his account on the 14th of May 1996. The Commission notes that the officers specifically denied, both at trial and when asked by the Section 19 inquiry, that they had ever coached Mr. Nicholls using the cell site data. Mr. Craddock has also expressed the view that Nicholls was not aware, at the time of his interviews, that police could plot the movements of mobile telephones using cell site data. In the absence of any evidence that Essex Police revealed cell site data to Mr. Nicholls before he began to give his account on May 14, 1996, the Commission does not consider that this submission is capable of giving rise to a real possibility that the Court of Appeal would overturn the convictions in this case. In any event, the Commission notes that DC's Brown and Winston gave evidence before the Court of Appeal in 2006. The applicants were in possession of the Section 19 materials prior to the appeal hearing and could have questioned the officers at that stage regarding Mr. Nicholls' knowledge of the cell site data. In all of the circumstances, the Commission does not consider that this submission can form the basis of a referral to the Court of Appeal.